Assalamu alaikum my dear students, and welcome back to Engineering Geology. My name is Engineer Abid Ali. As you know, in our previous lecture we have discussed weathering, erosion and deposition. Today our topic is about what are the factors affecting weathering, like what dictates the type of weathering we have in a region, how fast it will happen, etc. So we have three main things that we are going to look at. The first one is called climate. The second would be hardness. Hardness means like how hard is the rock or how resistant is it being weathered. And then the third would be the surface area of the rock, like how much of the rock is exposed to the elements. So let's start with the climate. To understand this, we look at this chart. This is very commonly used chart in geology. So what this shows is the effect of temperature and moisture on what type of weathering will take place. So for example, in area that is more hot, so this part of our region right here, which is higher temperature, okay, but not a lot of moisture, because remember, if we go up on the chart, that's a wetter area. So this is an area right here that's hot and dry. We don't really see a lot of weathering. We might get some wind abrasion like in desert, but nothing too severe. If we then switch up to an area that is higher on the chart, that is hotter and wetter, that's where we are gonna start to see more of this chemical weathering, this carbonation occur a lot and a lot faster in areas that are hot and wet. We see a lot of limestone caves and sinkhole in a place like Florida, for example, where it's very warm. And on the other hand, if we go to the left side, where it's colder, lower temperature, this is where we are gonna start to see frost action happening, because this is we have a lot of change in temperature. It's colder, cold enough to get ice and enough water to have the ice forming and melting and forming and melting day after day. Anything up in this top area, these are climate conditions that we don't really see on Earth, so they are not really relevant to what we are talking about. Anyway, this graph gives you a really good sense of impact that climate has on the type and severity of weathering that happens in a particular area. In addition to climate, we also look at the hardness. So of course we know that all rocks are different, all minerals are different. Some are very hard, some are very soft, and that's going to have an impact on how quickly they are going to weather. So if we look at the diagram like this, which shows a cross section of waterfall, what we will notice that some of the rock layers, like right here and right here, have been worn away than other rocks layer, like this one is not worn away as much as these ones down here. This is a little bit right here is not really worn away. That tells me that these are different types of rock. So I can conclude that this layer of rock right here, which believe is like a shale is a softer rock. So when all of this water splashes up on it, it's gonna start to wear away faster than a harder rock, like say a sandstone. So the hardness of the rock has a big impact on how quickly it's going to be weathered. So finally, the last thing we want to look at is surface area. So surface area refers to how much of the rock is actually exposed. So if I have two rocks like you see here, they are going to be exposed to the elements at a different clip, right? So the only part of this rock, for example, that's going to be exposed is the outside of the rock. So this surface right here, that's the only part that can get hit by rain and ice and snow and oxygen, etc. That's the only part that can be weathered. The center of this rock is not exposed, it's protected, and therefore it's not going to be weather. Whereas at the right side I have the outside of these rock, but I also have the inside areas, right? Because the rock is broken down, we have additional surfaces that can be hit by rain, snow, ice, and oxygen and other chemical reactions. And so because this has more surface area, it's going to break down at a faster rate. Okay, so we can summarize these three things right here. So weathering is most affected by these things: the climate, the hardness of the rock, and the amount of exposed surface area. That's what really going to dictate how quickly a rock is going to break apart. So that would be all for today's lecture. If you guys have any questions, you can contact me through the email. Thank you for watching. Take care.